G'day investors and welcome to another episode of Stocks to Watch. My name's John Franklin, an experienced geo and your host. Today we're taking a dive into Ioneer Limited, an Aussie explorer with one of only a few integrated lithium boron projects in the entire world. So I'm joined today by the Managing Director, Bernard Rowe. Firstly, welcome to the show, mate.
Thanks very much, John. Wonderful to be here with you and a fellow geo.
Yeah, it's good to be talking rocks, and this is a very exciting project. We were just having a bit of a discussion beforehand, but I'm looking forward to launching into this. So, as I mentioned before, Rhyolite Ridge, which is your flagship project, is one of only a few integrated lithium boron projects in the world, let alone the US. So, for our viewers who may not be familiar with it, could you just give us a bit of a run through of the background?
Yes, sure. So Rhyolite Ridge, as you say, it's a lithium boron deposit. It's located in rural Nevada, about halfway between Las Vegas and Reno. It's a very advanced project. It's ready, construction ready. So all the work's been done on the ground. It's ready to go. And importantly, it is integrated, or the plant will be integrated. So it's not just a mine, it's a chemical processing plant alongside a mine. And that means we can produce the refined lithium chemicals, the much higher value product for both lithium and boron. And it's, as you rightly point out, it's a very unique type of deposit.
Yeah, definitely. So lithium is probably high on a lot of investors' radars, like it's in batteries across the entire value chain. But do you just want to give viewers a quick background on what boron's used for?
Boron is actually used in a whole myriad of applications. In fact, it's one of the most, for any particular mineral commodity, it's one of the most widely used. But I'll touch on the big ones: borosilicate glass and fiberglass insulation. So the glass industry is by far the largest volume user of boron, and it's added to glass to toughen glass and make it heat resistant. And so glass on your mobile phone, on your iPads, on your desktop screens, etc., thin, strong glass has boron in it. But the other, and the fiberglass insulation, but it's also used in permanent magnets. So neodymium iron boron is a very common type of permanent magnet that's used in electric motors. And so, that's a really important use of it. And it's used in agriculture as a micronutrient. So very wide-ranging and different types of application means it's a very resilient commodity.
Sounds like the demand is definitely there when you're mentioning screens and permanent magnets. So that's a compelling case. Now, as I said, lithium and boron, I mean, they don't occur together in a wide range of products. Like, this is a bit of a unique situation that you've got here, and you've managed to expand your reserves by 308% recently. Could you just run us through how you managed to do that and what were your procedure?
Yeah, sure. So, and you're right, it is very unique, and you'll hear us talk a lot about this. There's actually not another operating mine anywhere in the world that will produce or is producing the quantities of lithium and boron that we will. So it's a very, very unusual type of deposit. Now, the resource and reserve update that we did recently, basically we were doing additional geotechnical drilling on one part of the deposit that hadn't been previously drilled. And that was because we were moving one of our pit walls over in that direction, and we completed a large geotechnical drill program. Obviously, we assayed those holes as well. And what we did earlier this year was announce, firstly, a resource update, which took the total resource to 510 million tonnes. And then of that, we then ran all the mining studies, etc., necessary to convert part of it into a mineable reserve that our economics are based on. And now that reserve is 247 million tonnes. So, approximately half of the resource was converted into reserve. Now, we had not done a reserve update since the feasibility study in 2020. And at that time, it was 60 million tonnes. So we've gone from a 60 million tonne reserve, mineable reserve, to a 247 million tonne mineable reserve. And just to put that into some sort of context, this project will mine approximately 2.5 million tonnes of ore per year. So a 247 million tonne reserve means you've got 100 years of reserve, which is almost unheard of in the mining industry to have a reserve. Fair enough to have a large resource, but a reserve for 100 years is very, very unusual. And it speaks to the scale of this deposit. And it also speaks to the fact that it's very amenable to future expansions as the demand for both lithium and boron, particularly in the United States, increases.
That's extremely rapid increase there, and it sounds like you've got a very long runway ahead of you. So they're good figures to have in the back pocket for sure. Shifting now towards financials of the project, seems like there's some significant backing as well, with the US Department of Energy or DOE finalising a $996 million loan for Rhyolite Ridge in early 2025. And you also formally launched a strategic partnership process in June 2025 with Goldman Sachs. Can you tell us how will this support impact the project's development timeline and the improved access to the resources?
Yeah, sure. So basically the project to build it, as I mentioned earlier, it's a chemical processing plant as well as a mine. And obviously it has a large CapEx requirement, particularly because of the chemical processing plant. The mine itself is actually fairly low CapEx, but you put the two of them together, the total CapEx is just a little bit under 1.7 billion US dollars. Now, we have already secured a closed loan for just under $1 billion with the US government. So obviously it's fantastic to have that government support. But it goes way beyond that, because this funding from the US government is a 20-year loan, and it's the interest rate is at 10-year treasury rates, so circa 4%. Now, that is unheard of in the mining industry, to have a 20-year debt facility at a 4% interest rate is quite extraordinary. And it speaks to the strong support from the US government to make sure that this project gets developed. The strategic partnering process that you mentioned, well, that's to cover the equity part of the project. So $1 billion from US government as debt, circa 700 million in equity that we require on top of that. Now, the bulk of that will come from an incoming partner, a strategic partner, and we will sell down a stake in the project, so not in the company Ioneer itself, but an equity interest in the project. And that incoming party to purchase that stake of in the project will contribute the funds required to cover the bulk of the equity. So Ioneer will still be the majority owner, but it'll sell down that interest. And between those two, then that will essentially mean that this project is fully funded. And obviously we're in the process, we've started it, we're working alongside Goldman Sachs, as you mentioned, and we've had very strong interest, and not surprising given, it's a unique deposit, it's in the United States, it's construction ready, and it has these amazing economics courtesy of these two products that are both produced in the one mining and processing flow sheet.
Yeah, it's staying on the economics as well. As most people will be aware, lithium is in a bit of a deflated price environment, but there's a lot of analysts saying that it's only up from here. How are you mitigating your risks as far as being your costs for producing this product?
So the big one is the boron, and again, this speaks to the uniqueness of this deposit. There isn't another project that I'm aware of in the lithium world anywhere that's currently in production where you have a co-product that accounts for about 25% of the revenue. So, circa $150 million a year from the boric acid. It varies over time, but as an average, it's around that 25%. And of course, that provides a wonderful accompaniment to the lithium, because that boron can cover the vast majority of our costs when we treat it as a credit. Now, again, just to sort of put some numbers around some things, if we produce 1 tonne of lithium, then at the same time we will produce about 7 or 8 tonnes of boric acid. 7 or 8 tonnes of boric acid is worth roughly $7,000 or $8,000, again, give or take. So that is a significant credit that this deposit has the ability to produce whilst it's producing the 1 tonne of lithium. And that puts us firmly in the lowest quartile on the cost curve. And it means that we're very well positioned and de-risked to withstand the ups and downs of the price cycle that that you referred to and that we've seen in the past, and I'm sure we will see in the future. Lithium is a very volatile commodity, and it will continue to be whilst it's a fairly small market with a very rapidly growing profile. So we expect to continue to see that volatility. The other thing is just in terms of how do we de-risk? Well, we have offtake agreements in place. How do we de-risk around pricing? We have offtakes in place with Ford, Toyota, Panasonic, which is a joint venture, EcoPro, the large Korean cathode maker, and a couple of local Nevada companies, battery manufacturers, one called Dragonfly. Now, half of those offtake agreements have floor and ceiling pricing mechanisms in them. So we actually have some downside protection there. So we've got the downside protection because of the boron, and we've got downside protection in our contractual offtake agreements.
Fantastic. So you've got your reserve sorted, you've got your funding sorted. I guess the next step that investors will want to hear is, when will this thing be built and finished?
So it's shovel ready, as I've already mentioned. We've finished the engineering design to the point that we can start. It's actually very advanced in engineering design, way beyond what it needs to be to start. So it's ready to go. The permits are in place. It will take us about 36 months to build this project, and that includes about 6 months of long lead items. So once our board makes what's called a final investment decision, that allows us to, as a company, to start placing the orders for the equipment that we need. And we need to place those orders in advance because some of them take some time to deliver. And, we don't want to start construction and then find we're missing some vital, critical pieces and then have to, stand everybody down and wait. So what we do is we make an FID decision, we place the long lead items. That takes about 6 months. During that 6 months, we're also assembling the team, and then we start construction. So that would be about 30 months, given that the starting point was 36 months. So as soon as we finish the strategic partnering process, then we will very quickly move into the FID decision for us and the new partner, and we will be underway. So at this point in time, as a guide, we're saying, end of 2028, 2029, that's when we will be ramping up this project, which is actually perfect timing because you referred earlier to, the general consensus that we've probably seen the bottom of pricing for lithium in this cycle. There'll be ups and downs again in the future. We are sure of that. But in this cycle, it looks like we're starting to see a bottom. And certainly most commentators predict that by the end of this decade and into the early 30s, we're going to see very, very strong growth in demand. And there just simply won't be the ability for the industry to respond as quickly to that increased demand because it takes a long time. It's taken us 6 years of permitting. It's not unusual for a mining project to take, 6, 8, 10 years from when you start drilling to when you actually can start mining. It's quite a long lead time just to get projects up and running.
Yeah, it's that classic problem of the commodity runs hot, you start drilling, but you can't actually get the thing out of the ground until the price has taken its next turn on the cycle. But it sounds like you're very well positioned here for any potential upside, but also being defending yourself against the potential downside. So extremely exciting. So in wrapping up, did you just want to give investors kind of in 3 short statements, why is Ioneer a compelling investment opportunity?
Yeah, sure. Happy to do that. So, what really differentiates Ioneer from all other lithium producers and future producers are 3 things. It's a unique lithium and boron deposit. There isn't another one like it on the planet. It's fully permitted. It's ready to, as we say, it's shovel ready, ready to commence construction. And it has this tremendous support from the US government through a loan that most miners only dream of, the $1 billion for over 20 years. So that's one thing. Secondly, it's an integrated lithium chemical processing plant. It's not a mine. There's an element, of course, which is mining, absolutely, but it's really the chemical processing plant that's critical infrastructure and allows us not only to dig this material out of the ground, but actually to process and refine it into high-value products. Now, that's great for Ioneer because we're adding a lot of value to the material that we're pulling out of the ground, but it's also great for the US because it's exactly what the US government is asking for to, develop domestic supply chains, not just to mine, but to mine, process, and manufacture. Well, we're doing 2 of those at this project. And then thirdly, I would say the robust economics. Now, all of these things are interrelated, of course, but the core reason for Ioneer and Rhyolite Ridge having such robust economics is that combination of lithium and boron. We're going to be producing at mining at about 2.5 million tonnes a year. We'll be producing revenues of around about 600 million a year, 25% of which will be from the boron. That will equate to about $400 million a year in EBITDA from this project. And that's just phase 1. As I said before, 100-year type mine life tells you that this can be readily expanded in the future to, double and triple that sort of production profile. And again, that makes this a truly world-class deposit, those three things.
Fantastic summary. Thanks a lot for your time, Bernard. It was great talking to you and looking forward to talking to you again next time.
Pleasure, John. Thank you as well.